Welcome to another episode of Coffee with the President. My name is Doc Elder. I'm a professor of history here at Eastern New Mexico University. I also have the privilege of being the voice of Eastern Athletics, and I get to host Coffee with the President with Dr. James Johnston. Dr. Johnston, it doesn't seem like that long ago since we were taping an episode, but that was all the way at the end of the fall semester.
It was. Time flies, I guess, when you're having fun, doesn't it?
Exactly. And obviously one thing that we talked about at that particular segment was we talked about enrollment. Let's talk about enrollment for looking forward to the future.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we started the academic year, we were up, I believe, 6.5%, which was largest increase in a decade. Our spring to spring comparisons, we were up again of 5.5% or so. And, you know, those numbers are on an ever increasing cohort, you know, these upperclassmen that continue through with us. So, and I'm, you know, of course, it's very early at this point for our fall enrollment, but again, trending up. We're significantly higher over last year. So just great to see, you know, that we're bucking those national trends. You know, you see those, you know, a lot of conversations about, you know, enrollment cliff, and a lot of our work is about supporting our students and building in that kind of resiliency over the coming years, and just meeting students where they are. And I think the numbers coming in are a reflection of our success with that.
And obviously we look at the overall numbers, but we try and break it down and talk about the number of first-year students, number of transfers, number of grad students, and how do those compare?
Yeah, we're up in our freshman numbers. You know, those are year over year, and that's in that first important piece, because we continue to grow that base of students that, you know, continue on to graduation. Interesting, our transfers are really picking up over, you know, this year over previous, and we see that in spring a lot. That constitutes a lot of the spring growth typically, but you know, the number of transfers coming to us, and graduate students are just hitting all-time records. So I think again it just reflects you know, great faculty like yourself that are responding to meeting students where they are. If that's online, if that's hybrid, you know, they can live in our residence halls and take online and face-to-face and mixed mode classes, and that's important. It adds a flexibility, I think, for today's student and what we need to be.
Well, as a professor, I'd like to claim full credit for that.
Absolutely.
But I think the fact that we have a pretty reasonably priced product has a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah, I think so. And, you know, when we're, you know, in Santa Fe and with the legislature, you know, I talk regularly about us doing more with less, I think, than any university in the state. And our Board of Regents again approved a 0 increase in tuition for the fall semester, and you know, at some point we will have to increase those. It's part of the, you know, the cost of doing business, but the state continues to invest in higher education, and it's important to me to keep us accessible for the students that we serve, keeping that price point, that burden to the student and to their families as low as we can.
We'd like to think that every program benefits equally from increased enrollment, but there are always some departments that experience a bigger growth. And what departments have you been most pleased with in terms of their growth? You know,
it's really across the board. You know, we have strong programs, I think always have. We started out as a normal school, so our College of Education, always strong programs. Our College of Business, our healthcare, health sciences programs, you know, the social work, we started that Master of Social Work last year. We had to start a new cohort this spring. So I think we conservatively projected starting with 20 last fall. We started with 30 and we added. So we're 50 something, I think, students in that graduate program. And so again, just excited for across the board growth. And through an initiative working on through One Eastern, I know we've talked about that, is identifying those programs that are popular in terms of transfer. What's next for students earning certificates and associate degrees, and plugging those into our other two sister institutions, campus institutions within the system, and our area partners to grow those. But it's across the board. But again, there's some of these that I think are just a reflection of our response to the needs of the state and our region.
You talked a little bit about the state legislature. In terms of the most recent legislative session, what really good things came out of that for Eastern?
Yeah, very excited. We continue to work as a system. We advocate as a system. Each campus has their specific needs. System-wide, we received $22.5 million in new money, new revenue, new capital investments. For the Portales campus, that was $11.5 million coming to us and helping us finish SAS building. There's another supplement there, starting the Ag Production and Management Facility. This summer, we'll propose phase 2, which is a new ag building, the academic and lab part of that. Instruction in general, our operating funds increase. So again, as long as the state continues to invest in that, and again, just the great work of a lot of people here, we can manage within the money we're bringing in to continue to offer great programs, and just very, very pleased to see the state continue that investment.
We obviously have construction going on even as we speak on campus. So what sort of a timetable are we looking at to completion?
We should open that in the spring. So before you know it, we'll be talking about a ribbon cutting for that building. But I always talked about when it first started, of course it's right outside my office window, so I got to watch them do a lot of dirt work. And I joked with the regents, we give a % completion at each meeting. And very early on when they started, I said, I guess the dirt work constitutes a 6% completion. So, but now you see, people drive by, see the red iron going up, so it's going vertical, and they've poured an awful lot of concrete in the last few weeks. So really excited to see that open up, and it'll free up space, and we'll continue to, take advantage of what we have on campus. But spring 26 is when we're looking to cut a ribbon on that.
Well, speaking of construction, I know that all of my colleagues in the Department of Science, they were happy that we got a building done and it's fully functioning.
Yes, that great to have that back online. That the science labs, get to tour those and talk with the faculty there, and just a tremendous facility. And I joked with the Secretary of Higher Ed. I was impressed that you can take what originally began as a dormitory and turn it into a modern science building. That's no small feat. So, but great to have that one back online.
And of course, because you're a person associated with the sciences, this has got to be a mark of pride for you personally.
It truly is. That NMR, we got to talk about that a couple of years, 2 sessions back, of the need for this piece of equipment, and I believe our students and faculty were having to travel over to Texas Tech, so to have that here and a space for it, and got to watch one of our graduate students demonstrate it. So great addition, and for guys like us, a lot of cool toys to teach with and research with now.
You wouldn't want me anywhere close to those, but my colleagues know what they're doing.
Right.
Well, we are, of course, meeting in the Golden Student Success Center. You and I met downstairs at Einstein's and walked up. We passed a young man by the name of Nick Hoonish, who was a men's soccer player here at Eastern. And we did feel the need that men's soccer just wasn't living up to its expectations. But we are going to be adding a new activity. We're going to be adding a stunt team.
Yes, very excited to see that. And it was a difficult decision about men's soccer. And there are regions where it just takes hold, and areas where it doesn't. And we wanted to honor the scholarship commitment to those athletes, and get them across the graduation stage, the ones that stayed with us. So want to take care of those student athletes, but also looking at that balance of men's and women's sport opportunity. Once we made the decision about men's soccer, bring in stunt, and interviewed a coaching candidate just yesterday, and had to admit that I had to Google that to see what but it's a very exciting head-to-head sport. I think it's great opportunity to bring something that's really high energy and again, a new women's opportunity for collegiate competition. And Division II, it's an emerging sport in the NCAA, and so you see some of these Division II programs that have competed against Division I, or so I think it's really taking hold across the country, and in a very competitive and high energy. I think for spectators, just one of those fun things to watch, something that'll bring something new to the region. So we're very much looking forward to that. Of course, like anything brand new, it'll take a couple of years to really build it up, but I think we can be very quickly competitive and highly competitive. And as you know, Lone Star Conference is no joke in terms of level of competition in the U.S. So it's going to be fun. I ask the Kevin and the coaching when we put that in place to maybe do an exhibition and do some public education. I think once the community says, okay, this is going to be something fun to watch.
There have been years when on April 30th, we would have put all of our sports into the past tense, because unfortunately there were years when we just didn't have athletes that qualified for the postseason. We could be meeting in June and we'd still be talking about kids competing, because we've had a number of track and field athletes that have established provisional marks. And Shacey Marr qualifies for the National College Finals Rodeo. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And of course, starting back earlier in the spring, we saw women's basketball. You make that appearance and win in that first round, and the men were right there. I mean, it's one of those. Again, I think we had really good teams, and it's just any given Sunday kind of mentality. You play the game and just they best you on one day. And softball, their appearance in the conference, Lone Star Conference tournament. Men's baseball was just right there. So it's a lot of good, exciting things happening, and it's nice to see the community respond as we start to bring. I always talk about athletics as part of the university experience, but it's also part of the community experience. And then Shacey, again, national finals, track and field. It's we get to see those and hosting the Lone Star Conference track and field championship, and again, it just brings a level of competition to the university. It also brings a lot of spectators to Portales, so it's just one of those all boats rise kind of thing. So really nice seeing the teams do well.
In a week or so, we're going to experience graduation, and in some ways it's going to be like any other graduation. You're going to have a guest speaker, but guest speaker again this year is a pretty famous guy.
Oh, he is. Yeah, just Dr. Mike Boyd. Think about him as an Olympian and bronze medalist, but when you look at his history, his journey, tremendous athlete. I think a lot of his records stand to this day here at Eastern. But he went on. He earned advanced degrees. He taught in his home country. He, through his philanthropy, worked to connect his countrymen to U.S. education opportunities. So I think he has a tremendous story to share and inspiration, and he really reflects a lot of those things that we want our Greyhound alum to be, and just to give back and to make their mark in the world. And he has certainly done that. I've talked to track and field that remember him here as an athlete and as a student, and one of our regents talked about running here on campus. He was a student here at the same time, and just saying, he said, I'm running all out, just really getting my exercise, and he just goes flying by me, warming up. So, that level of athlete, but also that level of human being.
I had that same experience. I actually ran at the Drake Relays back in the 70s when he ran, and he was just in a completely different gear that I didn't know existed.
Right, exactly. It's impressive to watch. I love watching track and field broadly, and to see athletes at that level is just tremendous to see. Yeah.
Another thing that's going to be different about graduation is that for the first time, Eastern is going to be awarding honorary doctorates. And talk a little bit about what an honorary doctorate at Eastern is and why these three individuals were selected.
Sure, sure. You know, we've had that in our policy for, actually, I think the first appearance was in, the late 40s. It's continues to be, but I couldn't find that we've ever awarded one. And an honorary doctorate is the highest honor a university can bestow upon an individual. I think the most confusing part is it's not an academic degree. We're not giving away an academic credential. It's just a way to honor somebody with that title. And according to that policy, we put a committee together, broad representation, and there are individuals nominated, and then they decide, they make a recommendation to me, and then for me, make a recommendation to the board who approves those. And these are just, again, these first three are just outstanding individuals that have made contributions to their community. And it's, again, it's like we were talking about Dr. Boyd, it's really those that lead by example. They represent the things that we hope our students, our graduates, aspire to be. So Coach Steve Loy, Max Merrick, June Merrick will be the first three that we get to honor with this recognition.
We talked during the fall semester about the fact that we were employing a new motto, a new statement, and talking about we're one family, one Eastern. And talk a little bit about why that phrase was adopted and how well you feel that it's been implemented.
Oh yeah, when we talked about One Eastern, it was part of a conversation even when I was interviewing here. We talked about a tremendous sense of family here, and I know everyone has heard me talk about that frequently. And what I saw at ENMU as a system is built-in partnerships or relationships across all three campuses that if we make all of those things available to every student that walks through our doors, it's a tremendous asset for the student, that they can take advantage of all the great programs, all the great certificates that we offer, and making that easy. I was one of those that I went to school, earned an associate degree, I went to work, and then I needed more education a little bit later in my career, and went back and went back and went back. And some of the struggle, some of the difficulty I had just continuing, I wanted to address those. I think it's a great service for our region, for a student that starts with a degree, say in Roswell or Ruidoso, and finds somewhere later on down the way they need this degree to be more competitive, more marketable, and they can just step back in and say, yes, we remember you, here's all your records, let's sign you up and get you an advisor and move you to the next space. The first phase of it was a lot of administrative, behind-the-scenes things that can be a challenge, can be a barrier, and that'll be ongoing. We'll always find little things that we need to adjust. This semester we have been working on the academic piece, and I alluded to that earlier of here are the degrees that we have, these 2+2s, they start the associate and they finish with us. A lot of that work has been done, but like a strategic plan, it has to be a living document. We have to sit down at the table and say, I'm going to do this part, you're going to do that part, and move the student through. And that's the exciting place we are now. We're really making strides on that. And folks will start to see this One Eastern events on campus. We're doing, the first one on our Roswell campus, and it's a community / recruiting / fun event just to bring people to our campuses, expose them to the great things we have to offer, and remind them that when you need us again, we're still here. We're still available. We're accessible to whatever you need from us.
And of course, for me, the phrase "one family, one Eastern" isn't just a slogan. My wife, both my sons, 2 daughters-in-law, a son-in-law, all graduated from Eastern New Mexico University. So I definitely feel like I can say with complete confidence it is just one extended family.
And that's what's such a value, such an asset for us, for this campus and as a system, is that we have generational, we have legacy families that come back. We have individuals, that like I did, I just reach a point in my career that if I want to take that next step, I need another degree or certificate or, but I see that more and more now, and we're seeing more families come back when we do these open houses and I talk with parents and prospective students. Now I'm seeing grandparents bring grandchildren back, and that's just such a cool thing to see.
Well, Dr. Johnston, if you haven't fired me by then, and I'm still here in the fall, and you asked me to host a coffee with the president at the end of the semester, what's the one thing you hope that we can talk about then that we haven't quite reached right now?
As we're getting into the fall, that's why we send those contracts early, so I get your signature. You got to come back. So, I think, again, over the summer, doing a lot of planning, we're looking at our entire campus footprint and making sure we make decisions that are strategic in how we grow and how we use our facilities. We'll ask this summer for a new academic building. So when we talk in the fall, hopefully we've made progress there. We have that plan refreshed and laid out. We're really working hard on enrollment. That as soon as you put a class in the door, you start the process over. And we're doing a refresh on that marketing and recruiting plan. And as I told Dr. Lorenz, I think of that as like a strategic plan, again, a living document that you look at it at the midpoint, which is where we are, and saying, are we still on the right path? Do we need to make some adjustments? Are there things not working we need to drop off? So those are the important summer big tasks that we look at walking into a new academic year, and then we get to have fun, move new students in, and off we go again.
Well, Dr. Johnston, one thing I would like to, and here again, I'm not just saying it because you signed the contract that you sent to me, but I've seen a number of presidents at Eastern. I've seen the spouse of the president. I've got to compliment you and Stephanie. You may not be able to stay for a full 7 innings of a softball game, but the two of you get out. You go to the concerts, you go to the plays. So I really compliment you and Stephanie. You're not just somebody who sits in the admin building. You get yourself involved in the life of the community.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and that's important to us. I've said, Stephanie has said, when we are interacting with students and families, we see ourselves, our journey in the students that we serve. It's important to us, and we of course we enjoy, again, supporting our students and our faculty. Some of the faculty performances, just extraordinary talent here, and whatever we can do to support that and keep them here. And I joke about getting those contracts out early and getting people to sign. It's never a guarantee, but it's getting good people here, and then the challenge is keeping them here for as long as you can.
Well, Dr. Johnston, thanks so much for sitting down with me, and let's hope it's a productive summer, and looking forward to the fall already.
Absolutely. Looking forward to another one.
All right. Well, that is going to wrap up a coffee with the president. So for Dr. Johnston and myself, this is Doc Elder saying, so long.